The notice was no bigger than Clara Mercer's hand, but the red seal on it was heavy enough to pull her whole farm into the dust. She stood inside the Prairie Trust office with her shoulders square, her gloves folded in one hand, and her other hand pressed flat against her skirt so Silas Voss would not see it shaking. Voss sat behind the counter as if the building belonged to him, the town belonged to him, and every acre around Red Fork, Kansas, was only waiting for his signature. He did not raise his voice. Men like him rarely needed to. 49 days, he said, tapping the notice once with his pen. $367 and the arrears fee. If your father cannot settle it, the Mercer place goes to auction. Clara looked at the number. She had seen it on letters for months. But ink on a kitchen table is one thing. Ink beneath a banker's hand is another. My father's lungs are bad, she said. He lost 2 wheat seasons. He has paid what he could. Then he should be grateful I am allowing 49 days. Voss leaned back, his vest tight across his stomach, his eyes as small and neat as the numbers he used to corner people. The land does not care why a man falls behind, Miss Mercer. Neither does a ledger. Clara took the paper. She folded it once, then again. Her father had once told her a crooked fence line does not become straight just because everybody agrees to stop looking at it. Standing in that bank, Clara finally understood what he meant. She thanked Silas Voss because anger was too expensive to spend in front of him. Then she walked out into the hot, white afternoon with her farm in her pocket. Red Fork was not much of a town. A land office, a blacksmith shed, a feed store with flour sacks stacked to the windows, a church bell that rang 10 minutes late every Sunday because the rope had stretched and nobody had money to replace it. Clara crossed the street to Danner's Mercantile, not because she needed anything, but because she needed a place to stand before riding home and telling her father the truth. Mrs. Danner saw her face and set a cup of coffee beside the sugar barrel without asking. "You look like somebody just measured you for a coffin," she said. Clara wrapped both hands around the cup. "Not yet." 2 freighters stood near the stove, talking over a crate of horseshoe nails. "Windlass Ranch still needs a kitchen girl," one said, "and somebody who can keep house books. Pike ran off the last one in 12 days. The other man laughed. "Jonah Pike doesn't run folks off. He just notices when they're useless." Clara turned her head. "How far is Windlass Ranch?" The first freighter looked her over, not cruelly, just surprised that a young woman with dust on her hem had spoken like she meant to act. 11 miles north, he said, past the split cottonwood. Big windlass over the well. You cannot miss it." "And he is paying?" "Cash every Saturday if you can last." Clara took one slow sip of coffee. "I can last." By sundown, she was back at the Mercer place. The house sat low under a stretch of empty sky, the paint beaten thin by heat and grit. The barn leaned at one shoulder. The west fence wandered in and out of line where posts had rotted and been braced with rope. Her father, Elias Mercer, sat on the porch with a blanket over his knees, though the air was still warm. He was 51. Sickness had made him look 10 years older. His hands still belonged to a farmer, broad and scarred, but they rested now like tools set down after too much use. "Well?" he asked. Clara sat beside him. She handed him the folded notice. She did not make the news softer. Softness would not save them. Elias read it twice. When he lowered the paper, his eyes went to the west fence. 49 days, he said. "I found work." His face tightened. "You should not have to hire yourself out to save land I could not keep." "No," Clara said, "but if the line is crooked, someone still has to pull it straight." Her father looked at her then, and pride hurt him more visibly than fear. The next morning, before dawn, Clara packed one dress, 2 aprons, her mother's comb, and the bank notice. Then she rode north. Windlass Ranch did not look like a place that needed saving. That was the first thing Clara noticed. The fences stood clean and true. The barns were painted. The horses in the corral had glossy necks and calm eyes. Even the yard seemed ordered, as if every wheel rut and water barrel had been placed by a man who did not tolerate waste. Jonah Pike met her at the well. He was not old, maybe 28, with sun-browned skin, dark hair, and a face made quiet by work rather than softness. He wore no fancy coat. His sleeves were rolled to the elbow, and his hands were wet from replacing a pump chain. "Miss Mercer?" "Yes." "Mrs. Danner said you can cook, clean, read figures, and mind your tongue when men start proving they have none." Clara almost smiled. "Mrs. Danner has a generous memory." "No," Jonah said, wiping his hands on a rag. "She has a sharp one. Come in. I will show you what needs doing." The work was heavier than the rumor had made it sound. Clara rose while the sky was still black, fed the kitchen fire, kneaded biscuit dough, fried salt pork, boiled coffee strong enough to float a nail, and had breakfast ready before the hands came in from the first rounds. After breakfast came laundry, floorboards, lamp chimneys, ash buckets, pantry counts, and supper. After supper came the house books. That was where Jonah Pike learned what kind of woman he had hired. On her 4th night, Clara sat at the kitchen table with a pencil behind her ear, frowning over a feed invoice. "This is wrong," she said. Jonah looked up from mending a harness strap. "What is?" "You are being charged twice for the South Pasture oats. Once under delivery, once under holding." He crossed the room. Clara turned the ledger toward him. "Here, it looks like a small line, but it repeats every month. 31 cents here, 42 here, 28 there. Small enough not to start a quarrel, large enough to matter." Jonah stared at the page for a long moment. Then his eyes shifted to Clara's face. "You see that quickly? I learned on a farm where small wrong numbers become empty cupboards." The next Saturday, Jonah recovered almost $9 from the grain supplier. By Monday, none of the ranch hands joked about how long Clara would last. A gray-haired wrangler named Tobin started leaving split wood by the kitchen door. The cook fire burned easier after that. Jonah was harder to understand. He was not familiar with her. He was not cold either. He asked questions as if her answers mattered. He corrected a mistake without making it a humiliation. He paid her exactly what he promised, in clean coin, every Saturday morning. And in a life where men had begun measuring Clara only by what could be taken from her, Jonah Pike had the rare decency to measure her by what she could do. That was why the first strange thing frightened her. It happened 3 weeks into her work at Windlass. Clara was balancing the accounts after supper when she found an old folded receipt tucked behind a stack of cattle records. The paper was not from Windlass. It carried the seal of Prairie Trust, and beneath the charge line was a phrase she knew too well: survey adjustment. Her father's foreclosure papers carried that same phrase. So did the letters that had come every month, always written so politely, always adding just a little more weight. Clara read the receipt twice, then a third time. Jonah noticed. "What did you find?" She slid the paper across the table. His expression changed before he touched it. Not surprise. Recognition. "Where did you get this?" he asked. "It was in your old records." He folded the receipt slowly, as if the paper could cut him. "Leave that with me." Clara did not. She placed her palm over it. "My father's debt has this same charge." Jonah said nothing. The kitchen fire cracked between them. For the first time since she had arrived, he looked less like the owner of a good ranch and more like a man listening for hoofbeats he had expected for years. Finally he said, "How many days do you have left?" 28. Jonah closed his eyes for one breath. Then he stood. "Do not go to town alone tomorrow." But Clara did go to town alone, not because she was foolish, because her father had sent word that his cough was worse, and the medicine from Danner's was the only thing that helped him sleep. She tied her horse outside the mercantile and had one foot on the step when she heard Silas Voss behind her. "Miss Mercer." His voice made the street feel narrower. He stood beside the land office with 2 printed auction notices under one arm. "Your father's property has drawn interest already," he said. "Good bottom land, when properly managed." Clara felt heat rise under her collar. "The 49 days are not over." "No," Voss said, "but preparation is not seizure. A prudent businessman prepares." He stepped closer. "I hear you are employed at Windlass. Good wages for a girl with no alternatives. Still not enough." The words were quiet. That made them uglier. "You count very carefully, Mr. Voss." "I count accurately." Clara thought of the survey adjustment line, the little charges, the wrong numbers that never shouted, only gathered. "Do you?" For 1 second, his face lost its polish. Then it returned. "You would be wise to remember that a bank notice is not a fence post, Miss Mercer. You cannot simply pull it up because it offends you." That night, rain came hard over the prairie. By morning, part of the Mercer West fence was down in the mud. Her father tried to help her lift the rail and nearly collapsed, coughing. Clara caught him before he hit the ground. For a moment, with rain soaking through her shawl and mud up her ankles, the whole world seemed to tilt. The farm, the debt, the bank, the work, the numbers. Every line she tried to hold straight was sagging under weight. Her father gripped her wrist. "Clara," he whispered, "let it go if it breaks you." She wanted to say no. She wanted to sound brave. Instead, for the first time, she could not make her voice work. She went back to Windlass with mud dried on her skirt and the auction notice hidden beneath her coat. Jonah was waiting in the tack room. A lantern burned on a nail behind him. On the workbench sat a locked iron box. When Clara stepped inside, he did not ask what had happened. He had already seen the notice in her hand. "I was born Jonah Voss," he said. The words struck harder than thunder. Clara stood completely still. "Silas Voss is your father." "Yes." Her first instinct was to leave. Her second was to slap him. Her third, colder than the first two, was to listen. Jonah opened the iron box. Inside were receipts, letters, land plats, and 2 small account books wrapped in oilcloth. "I took my mother's name 6 years ago," he said, "the year I watched him ruin the Bell family over a debt he had fattened with false fees. I was 22, old enough to know it was wrong, too young to understand how to stop it." He spread the papers across the bench. 2 former clerks signed statements. A county recorder in Abilene sent copies of plats showing survey fees charged on land that had never been resurveyed. "I have records from 5 families. Your father's makes 6. Clara touched one ledger with 2 fingers. Every page was lined. Every lie had been written neatly. "Why did you not take it to Sheriff Bell?" "I did. Alone." Jonah's jaw tightened. A son accusing his father sounded like bitterness. A rancher angry at a banker sounded like business. Without a debtor willing to stand in public and say, "This happened to me," he could call all of it spite. The lantern hissed. Clara looked down at the auction notice, then at her muddy skirt, then at the man who had carried the truth for years and still not had enough weight to move it. "You have one now," she said. They rode to Red Fort before sunrise. Not to the bank, not first. First they went to the county recorder, a narrow old office behind the church where land books were kept under canvas, and the clerk warmed his hands over a coal stove. Then they went to Sheriff Bell. The sheriff had fought drought, horse thieves, and one winter fever that took his wife. He had no patience left for powerful men making honest people smaller. He read the clerk's statements. He compared the plat copies. He checked Clara's notice against Jonah's old receipts. He asked one question: "Are you willing to say this outside?" Clara's mouth went dry. Outside meant faces. Outside meant whispers. Outside meant Silas Voss looking at her the way he had looked in the bank, certain that paper could make her bend. She thought of her father's fence. A crooked line never straightens itself. "Yes," she said. By noon, half of Red Fork stood in front of Prairie Trust. Silas Voss came out wearing his black coat and a face arranged for insult. Then he saw Jonah. For the first time since Clara had known him, Voss did not look in control of his own counting. "What is this?" he asked. Sheriff Bell held up the Mercer notice. "Business." Voss gave a short laugh. "Debt collection is not a public entertainment." "No, the sheriff said. "Fraud is." A murmur moved through the street. Jonah stepped forward, but Clara moved first. That mattered. She wanted the town to understand that she was not being carried by a man with a box of papers. She was standing on the truth of her own life. "This charge is on my father's note," Clara said, holding up the notice. "Survey adjustment. There was no survey." Voss's eyes hardened. "You do not understand the instruments you signed." "No," Clara said. "For a while I did not." She held up the copied plat. "But the county understands them. So does your old clerk. So does every family whose debt grew by the same small line until the land beneath them disappeared." Jonah opened the first account book. The sheriff read the entries aloud. One family, then another, then another. The street grew quieter with each name. There was no gun drawn, no fist fight, no grand confession. Silas Voss had built his power in narrow columns, small charges, official seals, and the fear people felt when a man behind a counter told them the paper was final. So the paper took him down, line by line. The Mercer debt was declared unlawfully inflated. The auction notice was withdrawn. 3 other pending claims were frozen before sunset. And Silas Voss was escorted not through a courtroom, but down the same wooden sidewalk where he had watched desperate farmers lower their eyes for years. As he passed Jonah, his face twisted. "You were my son." Jonah looked at him with grief, not weakness. "I was," he said. "That is why I knew where to look." Elias Mercer cried when Clara told him. He tried to turn away, pretending the wind had caught his eyes. But Clara had spent too many years loving that man not to see the truth. She sat beside him on the porch and let him keep one hand over his face until he was ready to lower it. The farm did not heal in a day. Real things rarely do. The west fence had to be rebuilt post by post. The barn roof had to be patched before winter. The wheat ground had to be turned, harrowed, and planted under a sky that still offered no promises. Avoided debt did not fill a pantry. Justice did not mend a gate. But it gave the Mercers back the one thing Silas Voss had tried hardest to steal: time. 2 weeks later, Jonah Pike rode in with Tobin, 3 coils of wire, and a wagon of cedar posts. Clara met him by the fallen fence. "We do not take charity," she said before he could speak. Jonah took off his hat. "I did not bring any." He handed her a written contract. Windlass Ranch needed winter grain and a steady source of cornmeal. The Mercer place, once repaired, could supply both. Prices were written clearly. Delivery dates were fair. No hidden charges. No fine print traps. Elias read every line. Then Clara read them too. Jonah waited without offense. When Elias finally signed, his hand shook. Not from fear this time, from effort. That autumn, the Mercer field showed green before the first frost. By spring, the first wagon load of grain rolled north to Windlass. By the third harvest, every lawful cent the Mercers owed was gone, and the ranch contract had paid for new shingles, a second mule, and enough seed that Clara no longer counted every kernel like a prayer. The town remembered the day Silas Voss was taken down, but Clara remembered smaller things. Her father standing longer at the fence each morning, Tobin laughing when a new post dropped perfectly in the line, Jonah at the kitchen table turning a contract toward her first because he knew she would see what others missed. And one late evening, when the prairie grass bent silver in the wind, Clara walked the west fence with Jonah beside her. The posts ran straight from the barn to the cottonwoods. Not perfect, no farm ever was, but true enough to hold. Jonah stopped where the old crooked section had been.
"You came to Windlass because you had 49 days, he said. Clara looked across the field her family had almost lost. "I came because a banker thought the paper was stronger than the ground." "And what do you think now?" She rested her hand on the top rail. The wood was rough, new, and solid beneath her palm. "I think a crooked line can be straightened." The wind moved through the wheat. The fence held, and so did she.